The grounding of the Boeing 737 MAX has also turned into a legal issue here, with the Southwest Airlines Pilots Association suing Boeing over misrepresentations and lost wages. For more on the move, I'm joined by Jon Weaks. He's president of the Southwest Airlines Pilots Association. Jon, what specifically do you fault Boeing with here regarding the 737?
Kelly, hi, good afternoon. We didn't take the action lightly. We were in talks with Boeing for over a month, and because the magnitude of the losses keep piling up, we had no choice but to file the action right now, and Boeing was responsible for producing an airworthy airplane that our pilots and Southwest Airlines could make income off of, and as we all know now, that's probably even further delayed.
So do you fault them for sort of mishandling the development of this plane? I mean, I understand that is the core issue which hangs over the entire delay, but at the same time, how do you expect to get an answer on that?
Well, Kelly, when we relied on Boeing to produce a product to us, all the way back from when we were negotiating our contract, and everybody's heard of MCAS, and there's been surprises along the way. We were never informed what MCAS existed, much less you can't train what's not in the book. And even when we sent our representatives up to Boeing in the development process for the training, there was no mention of that. So MCAS, as we know it, it doesn't exist. It's being designed out of the airplane now. But the fact was Boeing was responsible for producing an airworthy airplane that we could make income off of. And that hasn't happened, and I'll be glad to shed a little light, too, on the timeline, if you'd like, as we go further in the interview.
Well, that's also interesting. People should be aware, if they're not already, that Southwest uses, I believe, almost exclusively Boeing 737 aircraft. And so this plane is extremely important to the ambitions, including for adding that Hawaii route in particular. Can you tell us, though, what the impact has been on individual pilots from this grounding in terms of hours lost, wages lost?
You bet. The figure is $115 million starting on May 1st through the end of this year, December 31st, 2019. And when the MAX was grounded, the MAX was about 4% of the Southwest fleet, 34 aircraft. By the end of the year, that was scheduled to be 58 aircraft, or roughly 8% of the fleet. And you mentioned Hawaii. We've been delayed from some of our San Diego and Los Angeles service because we haven't been able to have the MAX in an airworthy condition and have it be flying. So the inventory that the MAX was scheduled to fly between May and December, that's how we got to that number. And that inventory has just been removed from our ability to make income.
Right. When we had the CEO of Boeing on a few months back, we did ask him if he thought that plane would be back in the air by the end of this year, and he said yes, with the caveats about safety and so forth. It's obvious that's unrealistic now. What happens if this drags out beyond, say, the first quarter of next year and we start getting into March and April? What then?
Well, I think you'll have exponential outliers and factors coming to everybody, the airlines, passengers, obviously our pilots. What's important, I think, for the passengers to remember is they're going to hear lots of discussions on this, obviously, as we go through the next few months. But we represent the pilots of SWAPA, and we treat it as a passage, not a customer. A passenger, we give a lot more reverence to the term passenger, and what they need to know is they have our word on this, and we have their back. So when we say it's ready to go, it'll be ready to go, and we will be on the forefront of actually the flight simulator testing. You know, that is what has to happen first to get what Andrew was speaking of earlier in this segment. And so we were told that the simulator testing would probably start end of October. We've gotten no word on that. Okay. And then after that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so it just sounds like that the slipping timeline is a big part of this grievance, understandably. Jon, thanks very much for joining me.
Kelly, you're welcome. In behalf of all of us at SWAPA, we know it's an exciting time for you and your family, and all the best.
Thank you, sir. I won't be getting on a plane for the next few weeks. I appreciate it very much.
You're welcome. Take care.
Thank you, you too. Jon Weaks is president of the Southwest Airlines Pilots Association.